Today we have a special guest, and I would like this guest to introduce himself and tell a little bit about what he's doing now and what he was busy with and about the activities that he's involved in. Here you go.
Well, Dara, Verne Harnish, author of a book called Scaling Up, before that, Mastering Rockefeller Habits, founded a group called EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is worldwide today. We're about 11,000 members, and I own a company called Gazelles. We've got about almost 200 coaching partners around the world, including Ireland, working with a couple thousand clients at any one time on all 6 continents. And so it's spent a total of about 33 years helping entrepreneurs see if they can scale up their companies.
Oh, that's fantastic. So that's why we're really proud to have you with this interview. So, and we have a couple of questions for you. As you know, could you please tell us about your very first startup and what challenges you faced and how did you make them to your advantage?
Well, my dad had owned a company when I was a kid, built it up successfully, and then he lost it in the '73 recession. And so our family moved from Colorado out to a little place, Kinsley, Kansas, 35 miles this side of Dodge City. And he and I, when I was 15, started an appliance repair business for Marvin Ryan, who had the local Sears catalog store. And that's when we got into business. And, you know, the thing I remember learning the most, which I think is useful for all entrepreneurs, was that there were actually some customers we didn't want. And boy, that has been a good lesson that has carried forward since I was 15. And we had a way to figure out a way to push those customers away from us and turn them over to our competition, which I think, again, a lot of us would be better off having some of our customers go elsewhere.
Wow. Okay. Sounds interesting. So in your book, Scaling Up, you're writing about the life cycle of the companies. So, and the different decisions that every entrepreneur should make. Can you please give us a little bit more insight and details on that as well?
Well, there's really, you've got companies in 3 kind of categories. The startup, and most companies don't get beyond what you'd call the mice phase. They're a small business, and that's the bulk of the companies, about 96% of them around the world. Then there's a small group, about 4%, that actually begin to scale up and can get beyond 10 employees or 100 employees and up to several thousand. And then obviously you've got the elephants, the Fortune 5,000, that you've got the large companies around the world. And so we're really focused on that middle group, the scale-ups, and trying to help the startups scale up that want to do that. And to do it, there really are 4 decisions that we cover in scaling up that you absolutely have to get right. And there's right and wrong answers, and they're in the areas of people, strategy, execution, and cash. And I thought what might be useful is just share one quick idea in each one of those 4 areas.
Yeah, sure.
So let's just take the people. I think one of the most important things an entrepreneur needs to do, and I learned it from Regis McKenna back in the early 80s, who was also advising at the time Steve Jobs and Intel and Genentech, and that was when I'd started this kind of student entrepreneurship group, is to sit down with a piece of paper and write down the names of the 25 people, influencers, if you would, that would be most critical to help you scale your business up. And so for back then, starting the student entrepreneurship organization, there was a key group of professors. I wanted to get to Bernie Goldhirsch in Inc. magazine, Arthur Lipper at Venture magazine. There were a couple of mentors that were critical during that phase. Tom Peters was very, very helpful, and he had just got started with his book In Search of Excellence. And so they had me put down that list of 25. And then what we did is I spent time every single week figuring out how I could network my way to that person and get their help. And in 36 months, we had taken this student organization from Wichita, Kansas to global. In the strategy, to me, the most important decision is to figure out what is the word or 2 you can own in the minds of the market. So, for instance, Volvo has managed to own the word safety. If I want a safe car, and when my wife and I had our first child 18 years ago, we absolutely bought a Volvo. Google owns the word search in everyone's mind. And by the way, they took that from Yahoo. And the reason I think Yahoo's had a hard time is they don't own really a word in anyone's mind today. I've got a client, Trench Safety. They're a small company, but it's very clear based on their name that if you're a construction company and you're going to dig a trench and you want to make sure that that trench is safe and not going to collapse, this is the company you call. And so from a strategy perspective, I think it's critical that the entrepreneur figure out what is this word or two I can own, locally or in my country or around the world in the minds of enough customers in order to be able to scale up. On the execution side, here, because we always have 99 things to do, the most important thing is to figure out the one. What's that front domino of a list of dominoes that if I could knock it over would really move the business forward the most? So I picked a quarter one year where I just needed to get my gross margin from 42% up to 55%. We have a client pro service who said, look, what we want to do next is triple the number of leads that we've got coming in. With my latest book, last quarter, the focus was, how can I get to one influencer like you every single day that can help me get the word out about my book? And so if you can pick just one thing and make sure you do something about it every single day, you're going to be amazed what you can accomplish. Plus, you have then the whole rest of the day to kind of do emails and put out fires. And then on cash, most important, you just can't run out of it. And by the way, my dad did, and then I did back in 2001 when I had taken Gazelles from $500,000 to $1 million to $2 million to $4 million. And then 2001 9/11 disaster just crushed us. And from that point forward, I really borrowed an idea that Bill Gates had when he launched Microsoft. And that was to always have a year's worth of cash that you need to live on in the bank. That way you can always sleep a whole lot easier. And so those are the 4 decisions: people, strategy, execution, and cash. And hopefully those are some ideas that entrepreneurs can implement immediately.
Wow, that's impressive. That many advices that you can give to the entrepreneurs. Well, you have the vast majority of experience and in the coaching and in entrepreneur. And what would be the last thing that you would, based on your experience that you have, what would be your advice to the people who just want to start up their business, who just have the idea in their head and move into the direction to start their business? What would be your advice?
Well, I think the most important thing is to get out and make that first sale. My 18-year-old son has launched a company, and every day he's pounding on it. He's made 9 sales now, and we're talking every day about what he needs to do next to get that 10th, 11th, and 12th sale. And so it's all about sales, 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 and spending lots of time with the customer. I think the mistake a lot of beginning entrepreneurs make is they get all caught up in designing their product and putting together a nice website and putting brochures together and all that. And they never just get out and start talking to people. And that's what's critical. And that's how you can learn very rapidly. And so that would be my key advice for most entrepreneurs. The second piece would be to keep learning. Mark Cuban reads 3 hours a day. Warren Buffett, 500 pages a day. Mark Zuckerberg has set a goal here in 2015 to read a book every 2 weeks. I think the important thing is to continue to invest in yourself and just keep learning and reading so that you get better. And if you want to 10x the company, you got to 10x yourself.
Yeah. Reading is very important. Like I really noticed that reading is one of the points that people are not doing on regular basis. So I have.
And by the way, the good news is you don't have to read. You can watch videos like this. You can listen to books. A lot of us have different ways of learning. The key thing is to keep learning. And the minute you think you've got it all figured out, that's when the reality is going to hit you upside the head. And so it's always, whenever you're faced with a challenge, a who question. Who is smarter than you that you can go get some help from to help you move the business to the next level? Don't do it alone.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I
You're
really
welcome.
know that people who are watching this video will really appreciate your advice. Thank you.